This is a proclamation recognizing Antonio D. Robinson Day, February 1st, 2019. Whereas Antonio was born in Racine, Wisconsin, a most favored son to Teresa Robinson, with a twinkle in his eye and boundless energy. And whereas Antonio began life as a terrific learner and continues to be a life learner through various certifications, basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and achieving his AS in criminal justice at Columbia Southern University. And whereas Antonio is a diligent dad, supporting the endeavors and making memories with his favorite son, Jovian, and delightful daughter, Deja. And whereas Antonio faithfully served his country in the United States Army for over 13 years, around the world, including 3 combat tours. And whereas Antonio has approached all his endeavors, both professionally and personally, with a warm heart, a welcoming presence, team spirit, and a winning smile. Right on cue. And whereas Antonio is retiring, but will remain an active, contributing leader in his future endeavors. Now, therefore, as the mayor of the great city of Lexington, Virginia, and by virtue of the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I do hereby proclaim February 1, 2019 as Antonio D. Robinson Day. I invite all friends and family in our community and assembled here today to celebrate in recognition of his accomplishments, both past and in the future. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Our Professor of Military Science, Colonel Michael Warsiniak.
Good afternoon, and thanks to our distinguished guests, Brigadier General Marashi, Major Friedman, thanks for taking part. Especially, I didn't know it was going to be a special day like this in Lexington. Antonio Robinson Day, I was just wondering what the military discount is and all the stories on that day. But to be serious, our family members, friends, fellow cadre that are here for this important event, in particular those that traveled here today, especially from the great state of Wisconsin, where it's been pretty darn cold all week, and I'm sure it'll be nice to have a warmer weekend coming up. But it's an honor to preside over this retirement ceremony for Sergeant First Class Antonio Robinson, as with all events of this type, because in doing so, we're recognizing his service to our Army and to our nation. We must do retirement ceremonies the right way, not only for individuals that are retiring and their families, but also for the Army as an institution. Today we'll do our best to thank Sergeant Robinson and his family for tremendous service over a 13-plus year career in our Army. And I like to say the Army, as with life, is about the journey, not the destination. It's a career that takes soldiers like Sergeant Robinson and their families places they would never otherwise go, and often to do things that are different from what the everyday American citizen would ever have the chance to. Each Army journey is almost always unique and different for every soldier, and typically full of memories, both good times and tough times. And it's impossible today to capture all of the details of Sergeant Robinson's commendable service. However, I'll take the next few minutes to revisit the highlights of his impressive Army journey. Sergeant First Class Antonio Robinson entered the Army in June of 2005, heading first to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for initial training as a cargo specialist. His first assignment took him to Fort Story, Virginia, serving in the 368th Transportation in his specialty, and soon deploying to combat for the first time to Balad, Iraq. Importantly, while at Fort Story, both of his children, Jovi and Deja, were born during that assignment and joined the Army family themselves. Sergeant First Class Robinson soon thereafter deployed for a second time to combat, this time to FOB Spiker in Iraq, and his next assignment, following a reclass to supply specialist, took him to Mannheim, Germany. where he served as an armorer. He then had a third deployment to Kuwait and to Jordan in 2011 and 2012. Back in the States, he moved to Fort Lewis, Washington, over to the West Coast, joining the NCO ranks, becoming a supply sergeant, and as everybody here knows, supply sergeant, one of those critical positions in any unit, and certainly one that everybody here can relate to. You have to know the supply sergeant, and hopefully he's your friend. And with a guy like Sergeant Robinson, you know that he would be, and he'd be trying to get everything for his unit. So from Fort Lewis, he went back to the East Coast, to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in a similar assignment, and then headed over to Asia for a year in South Korea. And finally, in 2017, he arrived here to Lexington, Virginia, to serve at VMI Army ROTC. In that respect, an incredible set of assignments. If you count it up, 7 moves in 13 years, not including the deployments. And they say, join the Army, see the world, and that was certainly part of your journey. Now, while at VMI, he was instrumental in equipping and outfitting over 800 cadets and directly contributing to our commissioning over 252 new second lieutenants over the past 2 years. As we all know, Sergeant Robinson brings a lot of energy, expertise, and a fun-loving attitude to all he does. We are honored to have worked with him, and additionally, him and I both share the great state of Wisconsin as our home state and root for the best sports teams in the world, including the Green Bay Packers. I see somebody wore a hat in. I like it. We know it was a down year for Green Bay, but the Pack will be back in 2019, and Sergeant Robinson and I will be watching. Sergeant Robinson, I want to thank you for your commitment while here at VMI on behalf of all of our cadre. We would have liked to have seen you continue in the Army for the next 15 years, but we now want to wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thanks for your career service to our nation, and in particular, the difference that you made here at VMI. Your journey in the Army has been distinguished. I know you'll excel in the next job as a logistician, just as you have in the Army, but absolutely let me or any of the other cadre know if there's anything that we can do, whether that's in the next few months or years down the road. We hope to see you around Lexington, but you probably will want to wait a little bit before you get the Batmobile out and take a ride around Lexington and that, given the weather. Maybe Sunday afternoon though. But to be serious, keep in touch. Let us know what the next journey holds once that comes together, and best of luck and Godspeed. As we present the certificates next and the awards, keep in mind that this is just a small token of appreciation on behalf of our nation for years of service and commitment. However, it does signify the importance that the Army puts in taking care of soldiers, and it's meant to wish the absolute best to Sergeant Robinson and his family in the future. Thanks for everybody again for being part. After this, make sure you take a chance to say thanks to Sergeant Robinson, and if you have time, come on down to Kilbourne, where I think he has some food laid out, and we can enjoy some camaraderie. And again, and thanks to everybody here for your commitment and service, both here to VMI and to our Army. And with that, we'll go into the certificates, and just for the family, it's a small ceremony here, so whoever wants to come on up to the stage, we'll get a chance afterwards to take photos, so we can do it pretty flexibly in that regard.
At this time, Colonel Warseniak and Sergeant Major Rice will present awards and certificates to our retiree and his family. Please remain seated throughout the presentation of awards. We will now recognize Sergeant First Class Antonio DeSanse Robinson. Attention to orders. The Meritorious Service Medal is presented to Sergeant First Class Antonio Robinson for exceptionally meritorious service while serving as a supply non-commissioned officer at Virginia Military Institute Army ROTC program. Sergeant Robinson's professionalism and dedication to duty contributed significantly to the unit's mission of commissioning and assessing officers into the United States Army. His actions are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the Virginia Military Institute Army ROTC, 1st Brigade, the United States Army Cadet Command, and the United States Army. Signed, John R. Evans, Jr., Major General, U.S. Army Commanding. Sergeant Robinson will now receive a congratulatory letter from the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Signed, Ralph S. Northam, Governor, Virginia. Sergeant Robinson will receive a certificate of appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. A certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America is presented to Sergeant Robinson, having served faithfully and honorably, and will be retired from the United States Army on the first day of February 2019. Signed, Mark A. Milley, General, United States Army, Chief of Staff. Sergeant Robinson is now receiving a certificate from the Army Secretary. Signed, Mark T. Esper, Secretary of the Army. He is now receiving a BMI coin from the Professor of Military Science. Sergeant Robinson is now presenting flowers to his mother, Teresa, daughter, Deja, and a coin to his son, Jovian, for their unconditional love and support throughout his career. Sergeant Robinson will also be presented with a retirement pin and the flag of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Sergeant First Class Retired Antonio D. Robinson.
Yeah!
Good afternoon. Like they said, my name is Sergeant First Class Antonio Robinson, soon to be Mr. Robinson or Antonio or whatever you like to call me. First off, I'd like to thank Brigadier General Moreshi for coming and taking your time to come up here. Second, the mayor, thank you so much for coming. the Vice Mayor, you know I love you. Thank you for coming. And her family, her daughter Rochelle. All of my family, from coming from Wisconsin, it was like -40, literally -40 the other day, and they all came from Wisconsin. And I thank you. My mom, of course my kids. This is definitely this is actually the first time my kids had both their grandmothers under the same house in the same area at the same time. So thank you, Daisy, for taking the time to bring the kids. My previous boss, Lieutenant Colonel Jordan, soon to be Colonel Jordan, she made the promotion list. She works at the Pentagon, you know I gotta brag about you. She's literally almost, I'm pretty sure she's the smartest woman I know. She definitely took care of me while I was in Korea. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the drive over here. Thank all of you guys, my neighbors, for coming over here. Cadre, Sergeant Major, he did a great job on the ceremony. Thank you. I thought he was just going to call me a piece of HUD and give me some pizza and send me on my way. But he had other plans in mind. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I planned on doing a big speech, typing it up, having it here. But if you would have seen my house last night and this morning, it looked like I was getting ready for a marriage, like I was about to get married. It was chaos and I had to run around. So I told a few people that said, don't worry about it, just speak from the heart. So if I speak from the heart, I might cry a little bit, but I'm still a man, so don't judge me. Another thing, I'd like to thank somebody. In the military, we have this thing that we say, NCOs are definitely the backbone of the Army. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and it doesn't get noticed. I'd like to personally thank someone in this room that's been my backbone for the last 2 years. She's been a very good friend. She did a lot of stuff for the ceremony. If you guys go down to Kilgore Hall, the cake is beautiful. Rochelle, please, can you stand up? Can everybody do it? I'd like to present these flowers to Rochelle for being an outstanding friend, a very, very good friend. She's the daughter of the Vice Mayor, and it goes a long way that she's a wonderful person. Thank you. I know a lot of you looking at me with my pretty handsome face and youngish looking ways and wondering why am I retiring so young. Like the Colonel said, it's only been almost 14 years for me. I haven't made 20 years. Last 2017, while I was in Korea, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I always had, excuse me.
It's all right. Take your time. You're okay.
I had this thing that back at home people always ask me, why am I still in the Army? Why haven't you got out? And I always said I would get out when I either retire or they kick me out. I never knew that the real answer I should have said when God said it's time to go. My God definitely said it's time to go. It's time to move on. But not only did he tell me it was time to go, he said, don't worry. I'm going to send you off very well. I made the promotion list. I earned my college degree. I bought my first house. I moved to a wonderful duty station after being diagnosed with the sickness. I gave up. I can honestly say I gave up. But I got down on my knees and I prayed. I stayed strong, I kept on going. It's rough, and it's hard being in the military for one, but it's also hard having your career taken away. I really thank Colonel Jordan so much. She was there when all of this happened over in Korea. I got diagnosed, sent to a Korean hospital. The hospital, you know, God bless Korea, but the hospital I was in, it was nasty. Colonel Jordan came up there. It was blood, seriously, it was blood everywhere, on the wall, on the floor. It was literally, it looked like the slaughterhouse almost. Colonel Jordan came up there, she visited me, she was actually busy. She came up there, she came to her room. You would have thought it was my own mom. She got on the phone immediately, called some people she knew. I was moved out of that hospital within 45 minutes and taken to another hospital. She took care of me so much. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you. I want to send my apologies to my old coworker, Mr. McFadden. Coming here, it was hard. Dealing with anxiety, this sickness is not a joke. Dealing with anxiety and learning how to get along with people. I gave this man a hard time. I apologize, Mr. McFadden. Thought I was right. You guys, thank you. This is more than a retirement for me. This is a blessing to be sent off this way. I thank you all. I thank you all for coming. My wonderful kids, Joby and David, I love you all. I love you too. So much. So much. Daddy loves both of y'all.
I love you too.
I love you.
We're proud of you.
Yes.
We are so proud of
My mom, I think I can stop crying. I think it's time to make y'all laugh a little bit. She wrote that. She know I told the story plenty of times. When I joined the Army back in 2005, I didn't tell nobody that I was joining. I was having a rough time. I didn't tell nobody I was joining. I was bad. I was pretty bad. You know, I kept the police busy. And but I knew I had to make a way, and I moved out my mom's house at 18. I think I came back maybe 3 times trying to make it right. You know, I'm the baby of the family of 3 kids, so I'm still old, and I'm not the baby no more, but I'm old. But I actually signed my contract without telling my mom, without telling nobody. I told them I was thinking about it, and everybody, this is 2005 when the war was really, really hot in Iraq. Everybody told me I was stupid. They told me that, what are you thinking about? Why would you sign up for the Army when everything is happening? I said, I don't know, I just gotta go. I have to make something of myself. So I called my recruiter. It was around 6 o'clock at night. I called my recruiter. I said, hey, I think it's a good time for you to introduce yourself to my mom. He came over. I was downstairs in the basement doing whatever I was doing. You know, I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, we about to tell my mom I'm going in the Army. She's gonna be so proud. My mom, this guy knocked on the door. His name was Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. He knocked on the door. My mom opened the door. And I was still downstairs. All I heard was, if you don't get your bleep, bleep, bleep off my porch, you was not taking my son. And she, you know, she let him have it. And he said, ma'am, I'm sorry, your son already signed the paperwork. There's nothing we can do. He'll be shipping out in 2 weeks. I was just trying to give you the common courtesy of introducing myself. June 15th, I left to go in the Army, and it's been a blessing. A lot of people, they get out the Army, they're retired, they talk down about certain situations. I will always be a recruiter for the Army. I will always talk great about the Army. Sergeant Harris saw me yesterday. I still got my Army PT pants on. He said, why are you still in the Army here? I said, because I love it. I love what I do. And I'm coming to miss it. Thank you all for coming.